Let me set the scene for you. It's March 5th, 2012. We are less than 1 month away from WrestleMania 28 and the hype is off the scale. The buzz and anticipation for the WWE's show of shows, it's at a fever pitch. You have a stacked episode of Raw, featuring The Rock throwing John Cena midget shorts and Wonder Woman wristbands into Boston Harbor, a heated opening segment with Shawn Michaels telling Triple H that he'd be the special guest referee for Hunter's end of an era Hell in a Cell match versus The Undertaker, and on top of that, a 15-minute promo back and forth between The Rock and John Cena in Boston. WrestleMania 28 really felt like the biggest event ever, thanks to once-in-a-lifetime, end of an era, CM Punk defending the WWE Championship against Chris Jericho. Hell, even Randy Orton vs. Kane felt like a big deal at the time. And good God, it paid dividends. WrestleMania 28 broke the all-time record for pay-per-view buys for WWE at 1.217 million. Think about that for a second. The hype was so crazy, the buzz was so high, that over 1.2 million people paid $60 for this event. That's $72 million return for WWE just there in pay-per-view buys alone. Not to mention the $102.7 million that the event generated for the Miami economy. Unbelievable. WWE a decade ago had a mission, a clear, easy to identify goal and purpose. Make WrestleMania feel truly, truly special and unmissable. So what happened? Where did it all go wrong? Today we sit here, WWE is 1 month away from a 2-night WrestleMania event where the buzz and hype is an absolute shell of what it used to be, and quite frankly, downright mediocre. But why? First and foremost, the lack of build. On January 9th, 2014, Vince McMahon stepped on stage and in his best Steve Jobs impression, announced the WWE Network. This was the future. This was WWE's plan of jumping on the back of the streaming revolution. It was coming to fruition. No longer would pay-per-views set you back $30, $40, and in WrestleMania's case, $60. It was now the era of $9.99. Or for free if you timed a trial right, WrestleManias. So with that at face value, WWE could put 6 times less effort into building that hype, that buzz, that excitement going into the event. Because hey, WrestleMania is WrestleMania, right? The network is there. We don't need to sell upwards of $1 million $60 pay-per-views anymore. Happy days. And with that, the WWE's days of busting their tails, trying desperately to generate that must-see hype and buzz for WrestleMania, died. Who can forget the Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar tug of war to close the go-home Raw to WrestleMania 31, or babyface Roman Reigns punching Brock Lesnar in 2018 to send off the build to WrestleMania 34, or hell, the unforgettable WrestleMania 37 go-home Raw, where The Miz and John Morrison played paints on Bad Bunny's Bugatti. As the WrestleManias have ticked by, it's felt as though, from a viewer's perspective, less and less thought, effort, or investment goes into WWE's build to their biggest show of the year. But what else? Okay, the build isn't good. And, well, next up is a massive point. The streak. From WrestleMania 20 all the way through WrestleMania 30, regardless of what other matches were going on, regardless of how great or average the hype was with the show, you knew without fail that The Undertaker would be involved in some sort of classic, with his fabled WrestleMania streak on the line. Whether it was Edge, Triple H, CM Punk, Batista, Randy Orton, or Mr. WrestleMania himself, Shawn Michaels. With WrestleMania came with it the opportunity for us to witness one of the company's biggest stars take on the legendary Undertaker in a certified banger, without fail. But then, this happened.
Brock Lesnar into the cover, hooks the leg, the streak is over.
Ever since then, WrestleMania has not hit the same. The moment the streak died, a piece of WrestleMania died. A piece of the fabric of WrestleMania died as we know it. And that came in 2014 at WrestleMania 30. Once the streak died, The Undertaker became just another old part-timer competing at WWE's Showpiece event. Now look, You can break down all of Undertaker's post-streak Mania matches if you'd like, but at the end of the day, let's just be fair here. None of them, besides the Boneyard match from 36, are even worth going back to watch in hindsight. Just being fair for a second. Outside the bump, Shane took a 32. That was nuts. Without the streak, and without the desperation to sell 1 million pay-per-views, WrestleMania for WWE is just another show. Yes, it has the biggest, most iconic name of any show they do. But that's truly all it is at this point. The name. People will watch WrestleMania because it's WrestleMania. Hell, I will watch WrestleMania because it's WrestleMania. And WWE are fully aware of that. That's why WWE treat it as they do now. That's why WWE thinks it's okay to make WrestleMania an 8-hour marathon as they did at 33, 34, and 35, or a 2-night drag-out just bore fest like they did with WrestleMania's 36, 37, and as they will with 38. A bunch of matches that do nothing for anyone and are merely there to fill up space on a match card to fill in 2 nights. Alright? Many people cite WrestleMania 31 as the last great WrestleMania, and that's totally valid, I completely agree. But even then, that show had a tragically mediocre build, as the network era was in full effect at this point, and with it, commanded, the talent of the show, the talent of WrestleMania 31, Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, John Cena, Sting, Triple H, etc., to put on excellent performances to make that show truly worth watching and truly the last great WrestleMania. WrestleMania was once a totally unmissable blockbuster spectacle that showcases the very best of WWE and is the culmination for exciting, entertaining storylines featuring full-time superstars with mainstream notoriety and appeal. That's what WrestleMania was once. But now, WrestleMania has become a totally drawn-out shell of its former self that relies upon the show's name, brand, and a lack of a pay-per-view model to get away with insipid builds, outrageously bloated shows, and an abundance of part-timers or celebrities taking spots away from present-day talent. And that, my friends, that is the day WrestleMania died.